Once you have your reactor up and running, like the one behind me, you will of course start getting waste from it. This waste will be in the form of cyanite, as long as you are using yellorium or maybe uranium, depending on, again, on the mod pack that you are playing with. So this is a fairly big reactor I've built using a reinforced casing. And in this output port, well, the reactor solid access port that is set to outlet mode, we will be getting cyanite. This is our waste product from burning our uranium or yellorium in the reactor. So what can we actually do with this waste? Well, incoming is the reprocessing plant, or the reprocessor as it's actually called. This is going to reprocess your cyanite into a new material, plutonium. And we can use plutonium as another fuel in our reactor, meaning that basically we have added a second life cycle to the yellorium that we're using in the reactor. So it goes through as yellorium, it comes out as cyanite, which is, junk, it's waste, and we're reprocessing it into plutonium, which can then go into the same reactor or a different reactor to actually power or generate more power. So how do we build the reprocessor? And one thing I should also mention is that we can do more stuff after this to get it even more complex and even more efficient. So you're going to need reprocessor items. Number one is reprocessor casing. We're going to need one reprocessor controller. We're going to need a reprocessor waste injector, a power port, and we're also going to need a reprocessor output port, a fluid injector, and a controller. Okay, so lots and lots of reprocessor casings, and then a reprocessor controller, waste injector, power port, output port, fluid injector, and controller. If you just put into JEI, Extreme Reproce, you basically need everything you see here. You can either use glass or casings for the center of the frames, it's up to you, and then you just need one of everything else. So some of these are going to do very specific things and must be placed in specific places. So the outer frame is going to be a 3 by 3, and it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tall. The controller, which obviously is how you access the machine, can go anywhere on any side in this middle bit. So it can't go on the outer edges, otherwise known as the frame. It must go in this center piece, but can go anywhere. Then we have the processor power port. Again, this can go anywhere in the center frame. And the power port is how you power the machine. Generally, it may be from your reactor. So that's what I'm doing here. So that's how we power the machine. You must also have a fluid injector, which goes, again, anywhere in these center parts. The fluid injector is the fluid that is helping reprocess the material you're putting in. If you are using cyanite, which you are in this tutorial, water is the fluid you need to pump into your reactor. The easiest way is using a mechanism mechanical pipe if you have mechanism, and Cooking for Blockheads offers a sink, which is unlimited free water. That would be the easiest way to do it if you have those mods. And that is a reprocessor fluid injector. It may be a different fluid if you're using different solids that you're reprocessing, but for cyanite, we need to inject water. Then we have the reprocessor output port. This is where you're outputting the reprocessed material, which in our case is plutonium. And again, that can go on any space in this inner frame on any side. Two other items that must go in specific places. On the very bottom, on the center of it, is the reprocessor collector. And on the top is the reprocessor waste injector. It must go on the top in the middle. Those two blocks have to go in those specific places. And this is where you inject your waste product, which in our case is cyanite. If you've done it all correctly, the machine will turn on. And you can see in here it's got power. It's got water in the fluid tank. We can void all of the fluids to start again. We can turn it on and turn our cyanite into plutonium. And there we go. That is how you repurpose things in the reprocessor. So I'm wondering if I can show you in here. Yes, so we can have a look at the what we can actually do in the reprocessor. Obviously, these will be later stages in the mod, but I'd like to show you now. If you press click and then press U on the reprocessor controller in JEI, what we can look at is all of the things that the reprocessor can reprocess and the fluids needed. So we have here rosinite. You can turn, if you put rosinite liquid in, so these are the liquids here, with radiculite, you can get inanite. If we put in benitoite with rosinite, we can get insanite. Cyanite, which is what we're doing right now, with water equals plutonium. Plutonium with cyanite liquid, and we haven't gotten to the point where we can turn cyanite into liquid yet. But if you do put in your plutonium with cyanite, you can actually then get ludicrite, which is another material. And you can put ludicrite with magnetite in to get radiculite. And then this is for another mod. But basically, the process goes, if you want me to explain it right now, you get your cyanite as your waste product, put it in with water to get plutonium. You then get your liquid cyanite with a fluidizer. We haven't done the fluidizer yet. With plutonium, makes ludicrite. Ludicrite and magnetite. And by the way, magnetite is the waste product of plutonium. So you then put in your liquid magnetite with ludicrite, which you're getting from your plutonium into ludicrite, and the waste product magnetite from the plutonium equals magnetite. It's starting to get confusing, but I'm just giving you sort of an example here. Don't worry, I'm not expecting you to memorize this at this point. This is just to show you kind of what the process long term is. Ludicrite then makes radiculite, and then with rosinite and radiculite, you can then make inanite, and then inanite is kind of the last material. But that's basically how the step-by-step of the reprocessor. But this is how, just for now, we are reprocessing our cyanite into plutonium.